Now, what happens is these chemical vitamins are then unable, of course, to cross the blood-brain barrier to get into the brain to help our mental function, etc. When they're attached to the peptides, which is what Jason has, then they do pass through the blood-brain barrier. The ordinary chemical vitamins will not do that, and there is dozens of research on that. Especially, I'm talking about things like vitamin D, vitamin C, vitamin B12 you mentioned, B1, B, and a whole bunch of minerals. They just will stop absorbing because they're not attached to the peptides.
Let's get back to the magnesium. Many people are concerned about magnesium because if you take enough orally to give you the right dose, they're afraid they're going to get diarrhea. Does that happen with the Grown by Nature?
No, it will not. And the reason why people are experiencing the diarrhea with the other chemical forms or isolated, or you'll hear the term chelated form, is because that's exactly what they are designed and sold by the pharmaceutical companies to do. They're listed in the pharmaceutical basically handbooks such as the USP or the Merck Index. They're listed as laxatives and they're listed as cathartics, and they have listed as drug uses or drug facts, basically. So if you look at the back of a bottle of a laxative, often you'll see a magnesium salt being listed because they understand that at a certain milligram percentage of ingestion, your body's going to want to get that out as quick as possible. Yet people figure, well, if we take just maybe a little bit less than what is bringing on diarrhea, that somehow that's going to be healthy for their body. It's not providing their body with the magnesium that they need. And if it does provide any, at what cost? Because it's creating such adverse reactions within the body. But our form, in a food form, is the same form of magnesium that would be found in a potato or a spinach or any vegetation upon this earth, and it will not cause that same diarrhea effect.
The latest sources that I've seen, I believe, tell me that America is about 75% deficient in magnesium, American population. I think it's 75. I should be checking that, but it's about 75% or something as substantial as that. And when you're over 50, that increases even further. Without the magnesium being delivered to your heart and to your immune system and to your brain and to the intracellular part of the epithelial cells, you are not going to get any sort of reduction in nervousness, aggressiveness, anger and depression and all those things. I mean, it's an absolute epidemic in America, I'm afraid to say. In Britain, by the way, it's about 50%.
Is this magnesium, does the brain need it to kind of fire? It's kind of giving it the electrical stimulus. Without it, it's not connecting the same? Or what is going on with that?
It's a fuel the brain requires. And, by the way, a lot of people's eyes, when they go down as they get older, you can directly trace to magnesium deficiency. I would say just anybody with a compromised immune system is going to be magnesium deficient. I would say that's almost 90%, and that affects, of course, our energy. You just cannot have proper energy for athletic performance because you won't get the ATP production without adequate magnesium. That works horribly for people who go to the gymnasium because the air conditioning and the lighting reduces the magnesium even further, ending up in fatigue, lethargy, even chronic fatigue syndrome. Your cholesterol is going to rise without adequate magnesium. Your liver won't work properly without magnesium. The list goes on. The thyroid, of course, which is a big thing.
My word.
What?
I said, my word.
Oh, no, your thyroid, I mean, all liver damage, including cirrhosis and a lot of hepatitis, is directed. Well, none of those people will ever have decent magnesium levels. And one of the other things I would say is that people who are obese are never going to lose weight properly without adequate magnesium. I mean, I know it sounds a bit like snake oil, but it's also true. Your bones are going to get worse as you get older without magnesium because 64% of your bone is magnesium. Well, the osteoclasts don't work properly, osteoporosis. There's never an osteoporosis blood I've seen where they have adequate magnesium. And all your muscle functions. Oh, I could go on, but that's just part of the immune system bit. And when you get into other things, and you must stop me, like tooth decay, periodontal disease, tooth enamel erosion as we get older, that's 90% related to your magnesium, or they go hand in hand. So
wow.
I'm sorry if it sounds a bit of a snake list, but that's actually what research has shown. And when we give magnesium, and we don't go to these silly numbers of the chemicals, then you see a change in people. The first thing you notice is that they're more happy, and their countenance, in old-fashioned parlance, their countenance improves, and then they start sleeping properly, and the headaches and everything else goes. So that's my little advertisement for Jason's magnesium. But you need nothing like the dose for these chemicals. Even restless leg syndrome in bed and stuff like that, and all stress is going to have low magnesium. So that's stop me on that one before I carry on.
Well, you've actually answered a lot of my other questions. I was going to ask you about problems with your heart, cardiac situations, and you're saying go right to magnesium.